and the mum or dad who's helping you has never played baseball before, all their job is to roll the ball over and over to the kids. Roll the ball to the next kid. Roll the ball to the next kid. Because you've already explained to the coach and to the player what you expect of them and how the drill works, that's all you need them to do. Hey guys, I'm going to run through a few easy tips for running an effective training session today. For little ones particularly, beginners, young teams, all these little things, they work right up to intermediate guys and beyond really. But the real key strategy for these young kids is we just need to make sure we cover a few things. You need to have a plan, okay? You need to keep it fun. You need to keep them moving. And I always like to add a little bit of education at the end and have a powwow at the end. So let's talk about the first one. So let's come with a plan. Make sure you've got a plan for your training session. And look, I like to sit there and I plan out my whole season, but not everyone's as crazy as I am, and things need to change as they do. But at least if I have a plan for the season, I can chop and change things, move things around easily, especially if I'm short of time on the day of training. But even if you don't have a full season plan, and even if you don't write out something that looks beautiful on a piece of paper, I know the realities of life. You know, you can at least, I like to also have a coach's chat with my coaches, and we use WhatsApp, for example. And I go through what we're going to do for the day. So I've got 2 other coaches that help me on training day. So we have 12 kids in our team. I always plan 3 stations. So I'll tell the guys what they're going to be doing at training that afternoon, at least, that afternoon, preferably a few days before. But we all know what happens, life happens, and we don't always get as organised as we'd like to. But at least if you can give them a little bit of a heads up before they get there, then they know what's going on. And at worst, you stand there, make sure that you communicate with your other coaches, get them there 15 minutes before the training session so you can tell them what's going on for the day. So along with that plan, that means you're going to be able to get there, you're going to know what's happening, you're going to be able to make sure you've got the right gear for the day, you're going to be able to have everything set up before the kids even get there, because there's nothing worse than the kids standing around thinking, all right, training time started, and you're over setting up cones or putting out bases or trying to work out what you're trying to do. So you've got to make sure you capture their attention straight away as soon as training starts all the way to the end, and nothing's going to help you like having a plan and being ready to go. So the other thing is keep it fun, all right? Make sure everything you do, especially the younger it is, the more gamified it needs to be. So try and think of the skills you're trying to teach to these kids and try and find a way to make it into a game, make it into a competition, if you can. Not all things can be done like that, but a lot of things can if you put some thought into it. And there's no right or wrong answers really either. If you can find a fun way for a kid to learn a new skill or to practice a skill, then do it. I like to use for throwing, for example, I like to put targets out there and have a competition, see who can hit the target first or the most amount of times. For hitting, you like to put out maybe some more targets or some cones or whatnot, see how hard they can hit the ball on the full, just different things like that. For running bases, we can create base running games, relay races, all kinds of things that while we do these things and we gamify these games, we need to make sure that we are focusing on those key areas that we want to work on while we play those games. So for example, when we're doing base running, I'll make sure I explain to everybody before we start playing this fun version of this drill that we want to make sure that we're rounding before we hit the base. We want to make sure that we're hitting the inside corner of the base. We want to make sure we're pumping our arms, ears to pockets, pumping those legs. We're working on our running. We're working on our base running ability. So we're doing all these things. We're learning stuff while they're having fun. The best way I like to say it is we need to trick them into learning sometimes when they're young, because kids want to play. So let's let them play. So one of the most important things, particularly with young guys and girls, is to keep the training session moving. So that comes with having a plan. That comes with gamifying things And another great way to make it happen is to split into small groups. You really need to split into small groups, particularly with the younger ones. You're going to get a lot more work in and you're going to keep them much more occupied. There's nothing worse, again, than kids standing in a line 12 deep, one kid taking a ground ball, throws it back, goes to the end, oh, he missed, I've got to go chase that, yada, yada, yada. And it takes 2 or 3 minutes before anyone gets another turn. Whereas you can split it into 3 groups, for example. Like I always plan my training sessions in 3 groups, and there's only 4 in a group then in a team of 12. So boom, ground ball, boom, ground ball. They're getting a ground ball every 20 or 30 seconds. So small groups, keep them moving, and make sure you've got a plan so that you're not standing there working things out while the kids are moseying around. Because I'll tell you what, you give them 2 or 3 minutes to do nothing, they start wrestling. That's their favorite thing to do. Let's wrestle, let's hit each other, let's play in the dirt. We need to make sure that we keep them occupied the whole time, the whole 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is you're training your little T-ball team for. We've got to make sure that we keep them moving that whole time and we keep them occupied. As I say, I have 3 coaches at training. I'll be one of them, and I'll have 2 other helpers. And I know that this isn't always possible to have 3 experienced coaches helping you, but you are still better off to have 3 guys running the training session, even if 2 of them have never played baseball before, and that's why you have a plan. So as I said, I always break my training sessions into 3 groups, and it doesn't always necessarily mean I've got 3 experienced coaches. You need to lean on the parents you've got in your team. As long as you have a plan and you explain your plan to those other coaches, that's why it's so important. It's not only to keep the training session moving, but it's also to make sure that your other coaches understand what's happening. You can, at the start of training, explain a few key things to your whole team in a powwow before they move on, and you've already explained the drill to the coaches that are helping you. And then all you need to do is send people off, and we're going to rotate through our stations, and the mum or dad who's helping you has never played baseball before. All their job is to roll the ball over and over to the kids. Roll the ball to the next kid. Roll the ball to the next kid. Because you've already explained to the coach and to the player what you expect of them and how the drill works, that's all you need them to do. Roll the ball. Even if they can't catch, they don't have a glove, put a bucket next to the kids. Roll the ball, field it, focus on some real key basic things. Put the ball in the bucket, go to the end of the line. Roll the ball, roll the ball, roll the ball. That's all you need. Throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. That's all you need from your parent helpers. If you find some simple ways to get people to help you, that's the best way to get people involved and willing to help you as well. If you try and complicate it and make it too hard for these people who have never played the game before, they're going to struggle, they're going to feel like they're inadequate in trying to help you. So simplify it. Getting 100 reps done with someone who's not exactly the most experienced coach in the world is better than having a line of 12 kids standing there wrestling while they wait for one experienced coach to roll them a ground ball every 3 or 4 minutes. Now, when I structure my training session, I always finish with 2 things. I do my 3 drills, and then I do a game at the end, which I always hold like a carrot in front of the kids and say, oh, you guys better try hard and we won't play our game if you want to play our game at the end. And they love the games. And again, it's just a gamified drill that they're still learning something, but it's a reward for them at the end of training, and they love it. The last thing they remember about training is the fun they had. The other thing I always do at the very end before I send them home is I get them all on the knee and we have a quick powwow. And we do a pop quiz. I always call it my pop quiz at the end of training. And I'll ask them some questions about the different things we did in the different drills and the game we did that night. And it's a great way for everybody to solidify these things in their mind, a good refresher, make sure it's in their heads before they leave training. And if it's something they missed and an aspect of it they miss, we might go over it again at the end of training. So a quick pop quiz at the end of training. We're on our way and ready for game day. We're a community here, and we'd love to hear what you've got to say and what your suggestions are about making training fun and exciting and inclusive and engaging for our younger little T-ballers out there. If you've got anything to let us know, put it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. That's it for today's episode of RBI Australia Inside the Game. Thanks for tuning in. If you picked up something new, make sure to share it with your team or hit replay. We'll be back soon with more tips, drills and insights to help you level up. And hey, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, train smart, play hard and keep growing that game.